Back on my bird nonsense, I discovered I have had a fundamental misunderstanding of pigeons for my entire life. First of all, in my brain, carrier pigeons were basically Hedwig from Harry Potter. You could just release them and then somehow they knew where to take the message. Clearly, that makes no sense. In my brain, that's what was happening. Wrong. Pigeons can't go anywhere. They can just go one location, home, which is probably why they were called homing pigeons, and I really never picked up on that. So they would bring them to their destination, and then if they wanted to send a message home, that's what they did. How they discovered this in the first place, I have no idea. This pigeon returned 24 days later after traveling 7,200 miles. This is basically the original homeward bound. How do they do? Excellent question. This one says they may use the sun's position. They may detect the Earth's magnetic field. Nobody seems to have a solid consensus about how exactly they're doing this, which this says all of those may be true because when they disrupt those things, the pigeons get very confused, which seems honestly rude to do to them. If I were the pigeon, I would be mad about that. I'd be like, you gave me literally one job and I'm trying to do, I would run away from home at that point. I would never return home. Anyway, we realized they could do this. And then because we're humans, we were like, what if we teach them to do crimes? And they made the pigeons go to war. So the soldiers had picnic baskets of pigeons in case they had to send a message about like what was going on. This is so precious. First of all, this pigeon is serious about this job. Thankfully, because we were putting these pigeons through the ringer, they were there on D-Day, iconic. 32 pigeons were awarded a British medal. Hold on. I need to know the first person who suggested giving the pigeons medals and how this was received. Like, was this resounding, like everybody was like, of course the pigeons need medals? Or was somebody like, they want to give the pigeons medals? Anyway, I'm glad they did because they deserved it. Because some of them got shot with guns. This one got shot in the eyeball, still completed their mission. This one saved 4 lives and passed because I think this is the pigeon stuffed in this diorama. The bird died from exhaustion. What are we doing? Anyway, we spent centuries using these birds as living cell phones, essentially. And then once we developed technology, we sort of abandoned them completely. I do think for a while it was cool to have pigeons, like rich people had pigeons maybe, but now we basically consider them garbage birds. And I just recently discovered today that I'm very mad about that. Some people blame us for the fact that they're terrible at making nests because they'll just like scatter some sticks around and be like, that's probably fine. Apparently that's developmentally appropriate for pigeons. They used to live on cliffs, or I'm sure some of them still do, and all they needed was enough to make it so the egg wouldn't roll off the end of a cliff. So they didn't have to make a whole nesty nest. They could just like put a stick in front of the egg and then the egg wouldn't roll off. So this isn't really our fault, but everything else is. They're basically a living embodiment of Toy Story. Like, this is Woody and we got new toys and then we abandoned Woody and now Woody eats garbage. Also, I learned pigeons make milk. The male and female pigeon make milk. Also, a pigeon and a dove are the same thing. Basically, a dove is a pigeon with better PR, or a pigeon is a dove with worse PR. There's no scientific distinction between the two. Anyway, now I'm sad about pigeons.